Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please silence all cell phones and note that this meeting is being taped by FCTV. If there's any private party recording this hearing, if so, please step up to the podium to request permission. I'll introduce the board. On my far right is Mark Finneran, a voting member. Close to me is Frank Duffy, our clerk. I'm Suzanne Murphy, the chair. To my left is James Morse, the vice chair. To his left is Tony Bertucci, an associate, and Nick Haney, also an associate. And we have Noreen Stockman, our zoning administrator, and Ashley DeMello, office assistant. The Zoning Board of Appeals is charged with applying the state's zoning statutes as well as the town's zoning bylaws and reviewing and voting on every application. All decisions are made through the public hearing process. Our goal is to hear testimony from the applicants and the public and to allow a full and fair discussion of the project prior to closing the hearing process and reaching a decision. Number one, to begin each hearing, the clerk will read the public announcement for the hearing and read pertinent information from the file. 2, the applicant or the applicant's representative will then have 15 minutes to make a presentation, but time may be extended by a vote of the board. 3, the board will then question the applicant. 4, the public will then be invited to comment. Comment should be limited to 2 minutes and be strictly related to the proposal. All members of the public wishing to speak should wait to be recognized by the chair and should come up to the podium. You state your name and address for the record, and please speak into the microphone. It will amplify your voice and record audio for the FCTV viewers. We also have a time now where if anyone has a public comment, they're welcome to come up to the podium and make a comment, but nothing that's on our agenda tonight, and we will not be commenting on your comment. Anybody want to come up? Okay. So tonight we have 2 continuations, 2 40Bs. First at bat is 85 Brick Hill Road.
Good evening. Nick Marioni representing the applicant. Last time we were here, we extended the time on it so we could have time to visit the site and do a site walk, which we did a couple of weeks ago. Also, we were going to revise the plans to show an additional fire hydrant, which we did. One more. So we added a fire hydrant right at this bend in the road. We already had one at the end of the street. There's also one directly across the street from the beginning of the project, right on Brick Hill Road. We also added a liner to the catch basin as a detention point, I mean. So you can see the liner is spelled out and shown here. It's shown better on another sheet, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, go up the sheet. Sheet 7.
There it is, right here. So this is the,
Yeah.
it's spelled out as membrane liner, and it covers the entire basin exterior on the, off the property side. The other thing the board wanted to see was we showed the location of all the tanks should we have to do denitrification, that they would fit on the site. We left the dumpsters where they were and the garages where they were and defer to the board through condition. If you want, you can move them, whatever you think is the best thing. We think it's where they should be now is the dumpsters up here. Any questions?
Mark, you have any questions?
Basically, I have one issue, and that's, and you just said about moving the garage. I think you need to move that thing completely out the property. I think the idea of him storing his extra equipment there for projects, as you stated, around the town isn't proper. I think it's an abuse of the lot coverage waiver that we're going to give. And I just simply didn't think that you stated enough need to justify it, and I'm sticking right there. Other than that, pretty much satisfied everything that I can really point out. I mean, I was worried about the Garys. I think the liner is absolutely going to take care of anything that might crop up as far as that's concerned. But as I say, I think the extra garage is just abusive.
I respectfully disagree. I think we need them, but I hear what you're saying.
Frank, how about you?
Well, let me amplify Mark's comments about the garage. I don't know whether it actually has to go, but it cannot be used for all of the applicant's equipment to manage all of his other properties. This is a 40B project, and 40B allows us to waive provisions of the zoning bylaw to promote affordable housing. It doesn't allow us to waive provisions of the zoning bylaw for commercial activity or commercial uses, which I think this really is. So I agree with Mark on that. Now, I would like also you to just kind of confirm to us that impermeable liner, which you mentioned, how long is it and what dimensions is it, and what are the details on the liner itself?
Good evening. For the record, Tim Santos from Merrill Engineers, representing the applicant. I'm trying to get back to it. So the liner itself runs, there's this orange line right around here, around the exterior of the basin. It's a 40 mil poly liner, similar to what's used in landfills for septic systems, as well as, kind of koi ponds. It prohibits any type of water from moving through the liner itself. It's going to run from elevation. Top will be elevation 27, bottom will be elevation 20. That's about 3 feet below the grade. In, I can't remember what number this is, but number 77. The rear of the property was discussed the last time to try to get 2 or 3 feet below that grade to help prevent any type of migration of that groundwater to this property. I believe it is the distance is right there. I'm just trying to read it off the top of my head. I think it says 190 linear feet long.
190 feet?
From here all the way around to the other end.
Where does it end?
190 feet.
It starts right here,
Yeah.
and it comes all the way around and ends right here.
And nothing's going to,
Well,
curl it up to...
No, it wouldn't be curled up.
Whatever might get by isn't going to migrate back to Gary's property.
Correct.
In your
In my
estimation.
professional opinion.
I respect that. Okay. I'm glad you took us up on that suggestion.
I have one other question, and you may have already answered it, but I was looking at my notes and I didn't see it. We had asked you a couple of weeks ago to confirm the distance of the groundwater to the bottom of the leaching fields. Is that 2 feet? Did you confirm that?
So we confirmed it. We did test pits in this area. So we have from the bottom of the leaching field to the bottom of our test pit, I believe it's 5 feet.
Okay.
And we needed to show at least 4 feet. We did not find groundwater at that bottom elevation.
All right, thank you. Next.
Jim?
So I'm not going to repeat, but I share the concerns and reservations of Mr. Finner and Mr. Duffy about the use of commercial accommodations in the garages. Thank you for the site walk. It was very illuminative. You can't really get a sense until you actually walk the ground. It alleviated a lot of the concerns I had. However, as to the positions of buildings 5 and 4, which are the ones that are closest to the property that has the shed that's in over the lot line that is now the subject of litigation, I'm very glad we got the walkthrough. It was actually, I think the property lines are even more problematic now that I've seen it. So I still have significant reservations about approving duplex number 5 and number 4, given the status of litigation and the encroachment. Other than that, those are my concerns. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Tony?
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up on that barrier, the 40 mil poly liner. How do you keep it from, because it's very important to the abutting property, how do you keep it from being damaged as you're backfilling it? Because usually in a koi pond, you mentioned koi pond, there's a backer that goes down first.
So, let me just go.
I only ask because it is important to the abutting.
Yeah, sure. So basically, this area is going to be built, obviously, with machines to build up the berm, to build for that basin. So the liner would be, basically, they build, I'm going to say, the property line side of the berm. They will roll the liner down from the top of that berm, and then they'll backfill against it to prevent any penetration through that liner.
So it'd be sand?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all right. That, I just wanted to be sure of that. And I'm going to ask you another question,
Problem.
probably. You are, I imagine you gave us the breakdown of the Barrows excavating septic system to show us how much it costs. Is there a reason for giving us this information?
I got one quote from Barrows Engineering, who's probably going to be, Barrows Excavation is probably going to be our contractor on the job. And then we got the quote from Advantech if we bought the components.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, am I not answering the question you asked?
No, I apologize.
Okay, all right, so Advantech gave us an estimate of $300,000, roughly 300 to 320 for the components. And they said installation is typically 70% or so of the cost of the components. That didn't include any electrical or a lot of other things that go into putting it all together. Barrows gave us a price of $650,000. The whole additional cost for the Advantech system, including the electrical. He already had a separate price for the collection system, the leaching field, and the connections to the buildings.
So, I mean, I wouldn't have been asking about that particular quote if you hadn't given it to us. But this is the, what is it, the ORENCO, O-R-E-N-C-O system. And of course, they have the AX Max, and you're not mentioning which one you're putting in. Do you know which system you're actually putting in?
Advantech, I'm not sure which
You've got
one
one,
it is.
two, three, 4 systems. Some systems are actually above ground, some are partially.
No, this is below ground, completely below ground,
All right, so this will be out of sight.
out of sight.
No lids like some of their systems.
Well, no, there'll be some lids, but all the tanks will be under.
It'll all be below.
Yes.
All right. None of these, though, are in any way formulate what would be an IA system.
It is an IA system.
Is this an IA system?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I thought I read that. I didn't get it clearly out of the brochures because I didn't know which system you were actually going to install here. And I think that's that's why I'm asking this part of the question, because you know where we're going in this town. We'll see what happens, but you're never going to tie into the sewer line here, so I just want to make sure that we're at least doing something to mitigate the nitrogen load in this area.
Well, we're still requesting the waiver, and we're showing why. In addition to all this, there's also a $5,000 to $6,500 annual operating and maintenance cost to this thing.
It's every year.
estimated.
It's every year, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is, whatever, again, you're not telling us which system you're using, because there are several on their website, but you're stating that there is some nitrogen mitigation involved here. Could I just hear the engineer talk about that just a little bit more than?
So we gave the applicant 2 names of systems that the Board of Health traditionally approves. They're on the DEP-approved website for nitrogen approval systems. Vantex is one of them. Nitro is another. They spoke to both representatives. I believe it's the Vantex AX100 plus the Nitrex would get you below the 12 milligrams per liter that the Board of Health is looking for as a final effluent number. So I'm assuming that's the information you're
That's what I wanted to hear.
Both of those systems would get you below that number.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. I have no other questions.
Nick, you have anything? Anybody want to do any follow-up before we go to the public?
Could I make well, maybe, let's hear from the public first, and maybe they'll take care of it.
Can we just have one clarification? I think we've been talking about IA systems, but the developer's not intending to put those in. They're just, right?
No.
You're just demonstrating
We're
that you
asking for a
have the
waiver,
capacity.
and we're
right.
using the costs associated with this to justify the request for the waiver.
Oh, so these are not going in, this,
No, we're showing you why we need the waiver. The cost is prohibitive. We mentioned this at a previous meeting, you said,
Well, I can't
how much does
imagine-
it cost? So,
all right, I know I can't get into that part of it, but you know what's happening in town. You know that by the time you pull your construction permit, it could be, it's not in our purview to dictate that, it's in the Board of Health. So you have got to have your numbers already in your pro forma already. I mean, you've got to have it in there.
we don't, we're asking for the waiver. So you got to make your decision on whether or not we get the waiver.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that, thank you.
One quick follow-up. Mr. Marioni, I'm sorry, just want to make sure that nothing has changed. The plans that are in file have setbacks for the northerly duplexes, buildings 6, 5, and 4. Minimum is 26 feet, and then there's a 30-foot setback. Am I reading the plans correct?
I believe so, yeah, we're off the property line by 30 feet.
Thank you.
So before you go to the public, I'd like to respond to some of the comments I've heard. First, we still feel we need the 5-car garage, but we're willing to give up 2, because some of those garages, we get a 5 and a 2. And the 2 is going to be for bicycle storage for the studio building. We need the other garage for maintenance equipment, storage of screens and woodworking products and things like that. So we're asking for that. And the concern about the adverse possession of the land shouldn't be taken into consideration here. We own the land until they win a lawsuit. If they win a lawsuit, we can't build the buildings, or they own them if they're on their property if we've already built them. So it shouldn't come into consideration on the approval or denial here. Thank you.
Do you, Nick?
Yeah, let's clear this up about.
Nick?
Nick?
Mark has a question for you, please.
Now, do you plan on building those last?
What?
The buildings in question with the property line in dispute?
More than likely we will, yeah. I mean,
Okay, because
I think we'd be very wise to do it that way.
now, in the event of you, I guess this is as much of a question.
How about if we put a condition that building 4 and 5, the building permit would be contingent upon a favorable decision for you in the land court lawsuit?
Well, first of all, I think we're only going to lose one building if they prevail on the lawsuit, which we think we have a pretty good
We've
argument
never seen a
against it.
plan of the land they're claiming. They just say they have
Well,
an adverse possession.
worst case,
but they
we'd
never
move
said where
one
it
building
is.
to the right a little bit, and we'd be okay. We're comfortable with it, but I don't know about putting the condition in. That's up to the board to decide. I think it would be
Courts are going to decide anyway.
it would be foolish of us to build a building until we resolved it, but I don't think you should weigh in on it. That's my opinion.
Okay. The other thing is you said there's a 5-car garage there. You'd be willing to give up, what, 2 spaces, but what are you going to use the other 3 for? You mentioned a lot of equipment. I'm very adamant that anything that's in storage on this property should relate to this property. That's it. That's the way I feel.
And not leave the property.
This should not be a storage area for all the applicants' other properties all around town. That's a violation, in my mind, of a 40B project.
That could be one of your conditions, I
All right,
suppose.
well, I'm going to move to make it a condition.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
I think on top of that, as you stated earlier, that he owns multiple projects around town. I mean, and this equipment, most certainly, in my mind, and from your description, is going to be used to service all these properties. I think it's time that this gentleman gets himself a contractor yard, and I'm still adamantly against this. I think it's an abuse of our waiver of lot coverage, and I'm not voting for it. And secondly, if you don't prevail in the lawsuit, how is that going to affect the total number of affordable units? Are they going to stay the same?
They would have to, but if you did the math on it, they would have to stay the same, because we'd have, that's, my prediction is if we lost anything, it would be 2 units, so we'd be at 38, we'd have to have the same number of affordables as we do now. We'd only be able to change that if we went down to 36, it'd be 1 less affordable.
Are the affordables shown on here?
No.
No, they're listed, though, on the map,
They're
on the
listed,
plan,
okay.
yes.
Any other further questions before we go to the public? Okay, public, we're going to close this tonight, so this is your hurrah. Try not to repeat each other, and we'll get through this. Hi.
Good evening. David Lawler. I represent Joseph and Tina LeBlanc in the adverse possession lawsuit, and I decided to come out tonight, and this is the last meeting, and I may ask for an extension over the 2 minutes, if I may. With respect to, I disagree with the comment that, well, that, you know, we'd own the units if my clients prevail in the lawsuit because they're in the setback. We wouldn't own them, but they would violate the particular setbacks and all the other regulations with respect to what we have. The lawsuit alleges that, and I also disagree that we don't technically, I think it's a legal technicality, but I actually believe the LeBlancs actually own that land now, and we're in the process of proving it, and I know that they're disputing it. I don't want to say that, but that the legal technicality is that as of no later than 2020, my clients had established that they had all the elements for adverse possession, open, notorious, et cetera. Because they bought the property in '97, right immediately in '97, they began to clear that back area, and over a 3-year period actually cut all the trees down, dug up the land, and planted a lawn, and maintained that lawn in that particular area for approximately 26 years, if not a little bit longer, but certainly in excess of the 20 years is required. So, in fact, my clients, being owners of that property since 2020, their backyard goes out, and it's kind of like a cone shape running the entire length of my client's backyard, and the center point, which goes out the furthest, is about 60 feet from my client's original lot line, and the lot lines they are using with respect to this situation. I probably will be filing some type of motion to put something official on record of the claim, but it's out there. They know about it. My clients are protected. But if this goes forward as indicated, there would be a structure that would be within, that would violate what you're trying to get at. And I don't know if there's any recourse or whatever, but my job is, I think, to clarify and put out there what our position is, and to clarify to this board what the facts are. And again, in my opinion, my clients own that particular land, legal technicality, not proven, and that must be done so in order as to have legal title to be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds, to show that that particular portion of the property is now certified or, as being owned by my clients as of 2020. So I haven't looked at their plan. I have no idea how many units, if any, this would affect, but I believe that from listening to the presentation, it certainly will affect some with respect to provide, if we're able to prove our claim. And again, I want to be very clear, they have disputed it, and they deny that we have done this for 20 years, but I certainly, my opinion is my client has a very strong claim and intends to go before and prove it, but there's many claims out there that are made, and some are proven and some are not. So I don't want to make any misrepresentation to this board. However, my client's confident and prepared to go forward with that, and that's where we are with respect to the litigation. And I don't believe that, how are you, if all of a sudden, because lawsuits can take years. I've had some that take, 14 months, and I've had some that take 8.5 years. I don't think this would be either one, but this will probably take a couple of years to resolve. It's been in litigation now for less than a year. But the aspects of it are relatively simple. It's the elements of the lawsuit, but that is something that is going to evolve through the litigation. They have hired very competent counsel who's defending it. But I just wanted to come out here tonight to let you know in person what's going on, because I'd heard a couple of things through the grapevine that I didn't think were accurate. So I thought it was obligated. My client wanted me to come out here and make the record clear, I guess would be the way to put it. I'm not sure if I can answer questions, but I'm certainly willing to do so.
Anybody have any questions for him?
I do, yeah, when we get to it.
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm not an attorney, although I understand the concept of adverse possession. But I'm curious, should you win or prevail on this, is there some horizontal plane that just goes across that, or just around?
I have and excuse me, I should have brought plans for the board. I have an extra one I can hand you and show you. I'm more than happy to.
I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's. Well, I don't know how to. I flung technology. I'm definitely old school. If my kids were here, I could get it to them. But I mean, this would be the plan. Is this the one you have?
No, I have, but not
Is there a way I
on
can
this
scan
zip.
that
I
in,
can
or-
show this here. This shows the area. This is the cleared area here. It's building 4. This building could be moved if we had to, but this is building 4.
Is there a line there?
Well, it shows the clearing, but I just want to say one other thing. You guys are not land court attorneys versed in adverse possession. We shouldn't even be discussing this here. That's first opinion. Secondly is, I'm not going to even discuss our defenses to this, but I think Attorney Lawler knows.
The scroll? Oh, there we go. So if this is the building, from here, but if my client's house is here, approximately here, the back line lot's here, it comes out in a cone shape with the tip of the cone being about 60 feet from the property line.
How far into the building?
I never had these plans prior, and it's 30, so it's actually into the building. Yeah, I didn't have your plan, so actually, yeah, we would actually own a portion of the building, but I didn't realize it was that close. So
Their house, this is the part.
and I don't know.
That's kind of.
Again, I haven't looked at their project. That's not my job. I just wanted to come out here and provide information. I don't know if there are setbacks that you're looking at that would affect this building or this building. I doubt this building, but potentially this building could be affected, but I don't know. I don't want to make a representation. But clearly, what's referred to as building number 4 would be significantly impacted with my client's land actually going into, then there would be how far would they have to move it to have an appropriate setback, and all those other issues would be in play. So it's a big deal to my client, and the issues don't just affect this one particular building. I don't know, they strike that. They may, but they may not. I don't know if they affect the other buildings as well or the entire plan.
If the building was eliminated, it would also eliminate the setback issues.
Clearly.
Yeah. But there's another side to that coin.
But then I don't know how many other units and how that would affect affordable housing. That's your purview, not mine. I have nothing to do with that.
Your client has some remedies here. You can put a notice in the Registry of Deeds of the claim.
Yeah, which I intend to do.
Okay. Now, just for example, if there's some building going on that you think is imperiling the position of the lawsuit, you have a right to go to court and get an injunction? This is really your problem.
I understand that.
It's really your problem and the applicant's problem, not so much ours. But we're trying to make sure that
No, it may be premature.
that the permit we may grant tonight is not used as a leverage to affect the outcome.
No, I'm not trying to use it as leverage to affect the lawsuit or whatsoever. What I'm trying to, as far as an injunction is concerned, I would think that probably that would come into play when they got a building permit. I think that, and they're far from that. What I'm trying to do is my client wanted me to put the board on notice of what our claim was, and to really clear up any misconceptions that might revolve around the claim. That's all. I have no comment as to whether this 40B is. I obviously have my opinions about housing and all the other things that we all face in this community of Cape Cod, even though I live in Barnstable. We're neighbors and have a lot of the same issues. But with respect to this particular building and the other buildings around it, I just wanted to point out that we have a claim for a substantial amount of the property, which on this plan is being represented as owned by the applicant. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else from the public? Nick, any follow-up?
One last word. Obviously, we're not going to pull, we're a year away from pulling permits anyway, at least. Hopefully, the thing will be resolved by then. And obviously, if it isn't, we're not going to pull the permit. We may pull a permit, we're not going to build a building. That'd be foolish on our part. So, but I don't even think it should be considered in this. It has nothing to do with the approval of this project.
So, Nick,
Yes, sir.
if you were to lose this, you could construct that building as a single, and not...
No, there's much more accurate plans than this out there, actually engineered plans. I think if we moved building 5 2 feet to the left, we'd be fine. So maybe we don't even have to move it when they actually get out in the field and lay it out, so.
Well, it seems as it sits now, their property goes 2 feet into your building. Now, moving it either direction is gonna, that's really isn't our purview, I suppose,
No,
anyway.
it really isn't. We shouldn't even be discussing it here. It'll be settled in court.
Mr. Lawler, we're going to keep this for our record.
Please.
All right, thank you.
Can I see that for 1 second, Frank?
All right, we're all set up here for questions, everybody? Anybody want to give me a motion?
Motion to close.
Public's all set, correct?
Motion to close.
Second.
We have a motion to close in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of closing?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. All right, great. So we're going to do a decision, what was that date? March 13? March 13? So I'll need a motion to continue to March 13.
I am so moved.
Are we, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, asking the administrator to draft the decision, or do we want to?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll modify the motion to instruct the administrator to get a draft approval, and would ask that the board submit by email to her proposed conditions or specific findings.
Okay.
To March 13.
Yes, to March 13th, thank you.
I'll second that. Everybody
Should
okay?
there be a time of submission? We don't want that to, like, next 2 weeks, 10 days, what?
How much time do you need, Maureen?
2 weeks.
Through you, Madam
Within the
Chairman.
next 2 weeks is fine.
All right. I second
Everybody's got
that.
that motion?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. 13.
Good night, thank you.
5/3/10.
All right. Next up, we have Falmouth Housing Trust. This hearing has not been closed. Do you want to update us on this?
Sure, I can as much as I can. Karen Bissonette representing Falmouth Housing Trust. So after our last meeting, there was some confusion with some DPW issues. The next day, Laura and I and our president, Addie Drolette, met with 6 people, including Peter McConaty and Jim McLaughlin from the DPW. And I believe Noreen received an email from them saying that we had come up with a solution to what their hesitancy was, but there was no issue on the trash. So the trash was that it would be picked up on the west side of the street, and that had been approved by the trash company. And so we have come up with the solution that we will work with the DPW to come to something that they agree with, but that they don't think it should hinder us from moving forward. So they also, according to Peter McConaty, are going to have some new plowing criteria, regulations, or whatever, which they're working on now, which kind of precipitated this whole confusion with him. So anyway, that's where we're at. And so we're hoping that that is taken care of. And at this point in time, if indeed we do have to have the homeowners be responsible for the plowing, then we will put something in the fund that we're going to put in for the D-Night system until we can figure out a solution.
So the homeowners will be in the docks, in the homeowner
Yes, but I
docks?
think beforehand, we'll probably have a solution, because we're working, and Mr. Santos is working with the DPW to...
Wonder why you were hanging around.
It's a busy night for him.
Thought you just liked us.
So he does. So we think it'll be a moot point, and that it'll all be taken care of before then. It was just about a turnaround, and our friends at the DPW were extremely helpful and very positive about the project. So we're going to figure something out, and I think it'll be a moot point before we get the project done anyway. So, and then hopefully we can just do an administrative change if there are any changes.
Fine, we can note that, subject to administrative change if conditions change.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Noreen, do you want to follow up on that at all?
No, she's basically represented. We had a concern. We had received, unfortunately, a late email where the town's undergoing some policy changes about whether or not the way they've designed the street would comply with what the plow needs. So I understand there's still some ongoing conversations. At this point in time, I understand the town is not committing to plowing this, but that subject to some type of change that works, that could change.
So Frank's suggestion,
So the draft right now reads that the town is not going to do plowing, but that may change.
okay.
Have you had any correspondence with Peter or the DPW relative to this?
So
Since the last,
the last statement I got from them was that they are not committing to plowing under the existing conditions, but that they continue to have dialogue with the applicants to see if there's something they can work out. So that's the...
Yeah, so Mr. McLaughlin actually sent an email to Noreen and said, the language in your email accurately reflects what we have agreed upon. So, yes, she has received.
So basically, what they've asked us to do is provide them with a turning radius movement of the plow truck to make sure it can actually turn around up there. So we have just measured that vehicle, their plow out back. It was just done today. It was actually done yesterday. So we need time to just get that turning movement and meet with them. But we don't want to hold up the process that's going on now, so.
Agreed.
now, is there
No, I think your suggestion.
margin there? Do you think, off the top of your head, you're going to make it work?
If the fire truck can turn around in there, then the plow truck can turn around in there. I think they just want me to show it on a turning movement plan to them. So,
Well, they normally don't do 40Bs, that's why.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? I think it was the size of the vehicle. They said with a dump truck, plow wouldn't be an issue, but if they sent one of the
Big ones.
big guys down there, might
That's
be
what
an
they
issue.
do on the Route 28, is the
Right,
big
right.
trucks. But,
So
They would
that's all.
probably have to send a separate one.
yeah, but they do plow side
Yeah,
roads, so.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's 440 miles of road in this town. I'm not about to try to do Peter's job.
Through that.
Neither am I.
Okay.
Before we close, anybody have any questions? Anybody from the public have any questions before we close? Mr. Muscali? Come on, now, you came all the way out on this crummy night. You have any questions?
Just observe.
There you go.
Where we are then is that the draft as presented will say the DPW will not plow, but will authorize you as the zoning administrator to make an administrative change if the DPW informs you that it can now plow.
Or any changes?
Yeah, so you could either do that, or we can just put a catch-all at the very end that basically says, which is practice for our office anyway, that if there's some de minimis change,
All right.
we do handle those administratively. If it's something of more consequence, we bring it back to the board.
Okay.
So the wording as of today is accurate for today's understanding.
Okay.
I think, my personal feeling through you, Madam Chairman, is let Noreen change anything to move things around the board if that's what's going to get the road into compliance
Yep.
so that they can plow. I don't want this coming back, that just,
Exactly.
please handle that.
Me neither. Thank you.
So, anybody want to give me a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
Here we go, we have a motion to close in a second. Any discussion? Tony's in all night. You could have a turn. There you go, Nick. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none. All right, it's closed. So now we have our decision. And Jim, the Speaker of the House.
So starting with number 5, we will update the decision to indicate the hearing was closed on 2/6 with the motion made by Mr. Finneran and seconded by, is it me, and voted by the board. Madam Chairman, I would just suggest that the board take a moment to review the first 4 pages up to where findings is, halfway down on page 5, just to make sure there's nothing that needs to be added or subtracted, but that we not read line for line into the record those findings, or excuse me, those submissions and the procedural history.
Sounds good to me. Do we need a motion on that?
I'll move that through unanimous consent.
Yes, I agree. Is everybody all set? We're going to start with findings. Everybody's reviewed?
Yes.
When you're ready, Madam Chair.
Take it away, Jim. You all set, Mark?
Yeah, how about number 3?
On which page? You page 3?
On page 2. Isn't Scott going to be, because of his absence, or is he going to be back by, he'll be back by then, right? He's only gone for 2 weeks.
No,
He's not here, so.
that's good that you did that.
Thank you.
Good call. So replace Scott with Nick, correct? Nick? Nice call, nice call.
What's your name and
Do we
lights?
mention that a different person has appeared too?
We'll have to add that just
If
as
you
to
like.
the,
In the findings, maybe? Or we could just put her name in that, in number 4, and have both people. She appeared last time, too. Right?
Yeah.
You can do it that way, right?
well, I think we need to add the email from DPW as to this issue that was referenced in this evening's testimony.
That's true, that's not in there. That's not in there either, right, Noreen?
It is not, but we can certainly add it
Yeah,
in.
so add those emails and add Karen, is her name? Karen, also.
Can we just go back to number 3 again?
Yeah.
Nick, didn't you miss one of these meetings?
You can miss one, you can't miss 2.
Yeah, but he'd still have to review it on the, I can't remember, didn't you miss 1 week?
You missed 1 week.
Yeah, I think it was this week, so you might, we'll just check with Noreen. You might have to watch the tape.
Yeah, but that would be prior to a
Right.
vote.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
I mean, just so.
maybe we
he's
just go with
prepared.
Tony if he's not sure then.
This might be optimal.
Yeah.
No, you just have to check and watch the meeting.
Yeah,
and
but
everything.
We're voting now.
you can't watch after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
excuse me.
let's take out Scott and put in Tony then. Sorry, Nick.
Geez, you had your name and lights for a minute and a half.
Sorry, Nick. It felt good for a sec, too.
Andy Warhol, right?
Okay. Hey, Mark's picking up on this stuff, loving it. Okay, good. No other submissions, right?
Not that I was paying attention, mind you.
Oh, no, it's a valid
No,
point, so
it's
thank you.
great. Anybody else have anything else before findings?
Not I.
I think you can take it away, Jim.
All right, starting on page 5, findings, number 1. According to the last published subsidized housing inventory, SHI, issued by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC, dated August 27, 2024, prior to the submission of this application, the town of Falmouth had 10.01% affordable housing, which included a filed approval for a 300 rental unit comprehensive permit on July 29, 2024. The town also has an approved housing production plan current through March 28, 2029. 2, the applicant by letter dated September 12, 2024 maintains that the SHI is not accurate and that the town is below the 10% affordable housing stock, indicating that the town is ineligible for safe harbor. 3, the opening of a hearing on October 17, 2024, Mr. Morse made a motion which was seconded by Mr. Duffy and unanimously voted, quote, "I move that the Falmouth Zoning Board of Appeals has the grounds to declare that a denial or approval with conditions of the application is consistent with local needs as defined in General Law, Chapter 40B, Sections 20 to 23, and 760 CMR 56.03, 1 small a and 3 small a, because the town's subsidized housing inventory exceeds 10%. Further, under 760 CMR 56.03, 1 small b, and 4, for municipal compliance with its approved housing production plan and to provide the requisite 15-day written notice following tonight's hearing to the applicant and the Executive Office of Housing and Living Communities," end quote. 4, the board issued a letter to the applicant by mail and certified mail on October 23, 2024, reiterating its stance that the town qualifies for safe harbor based on the certification issued to EOHLC dated October 21, 2024, wherein a 2-year certification was issued based on the number of SHI eligible units approved in July of 2024. This letter was provided in accordance with 760 CMR 56.03.8 within 15 days of the opening of the local hearing and included notification to the EOHLC there was no record of an appeal being filed. 5, the Town of Falmouth, Massachusetts Housing Production Plan, HPP, report dated March 2024 referenced the substantial gap between the cost of housing and what residents can afford. 6, The applicant has met the requirements to file for a comprehensive permit. The applicant has 1, control of the land, recorded deed dated May 30th, 2024. 2, the project has been issued a project eligibility letter by the Mass Housing dated September 10th, 2024. And 3, the applicant is a nonprofit organization. 7, premises was part of a larger land purchase by the 300 Committee Land Trust, Inc., which originally comprised a total of 3.8 acres. Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. acquired 1.1 acres, the northerly portion, and the Mass Division of Conservation Services acquired 2.7 acres, southerly portion. The acquisition cost for the Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. was funded through the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund. 8, the subject site, 419 Walkway Highway, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, the premises, comprises 48,008 square feet in area and is sited in a single Residence A zoning district. The minimum lot size is now 40,000 square feet. Premises has approximately 231.66 feet of street frontage on Walkway Highway, a state right-of-way on the northerly side. The minimum lot frontage is 100 feet. 9, premises is sited within the Walkway Bay Coastal Pond Overlay District and the Flood Zone X. Property abutting the premises to the east and north are sited in the Business 2 zoning district. Abutting properties to the southeast and west are zoned Single Residence A. The abutting parcel to the south will be preserved by the Mass Division of Conservation Services. 10, the topography of the premises ranges from 22 feet to 32 feet, sloping up generally from the north to the south. 11, an approval not required plan dated March 21st, 2024, the A&R plan, was approved by the Falmouth Planning Board and recorded in the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. Dividing the 3.8 acre parcel, which extended to Bourne's Pond, into Lot 1 of the premises, comprising 1.1 acres, and Lot 2, comprising 2.7 acres. Lot 2 has a southerly portion, which is in the Natural Resource Protection Area of Critical Environmental Concern, ACEC, and is not part of the application for the housing development. 12, the premises is currently improved by a single-family dwelling and attached garage, which has fallen into substantial disrepair. A significant portion of the premises to the south is heavily vegetated. 13, the existing dwelling is...
Hold on.
Well,
That building has since been demolished. Should that be noted?
I would agree with that.
It's down? Yeah, it should be noticed. I didn't note it. No, it's gone.
I'm all over it tonight, huh?
You're like the...
I was going to tell you, but...
Okay, the premise is currently improved.
What was improved by a single-family dwelling and attached garage, which had fallen into substantial disrepair and has been removed.
Okay.
I think I mentioned that at the last hearing, actually.
Okay, good call, Mark.
13, the existing dwelling, we've got to change 13. I'll make a motion that 13 read, the existing dwelling has been demolished.
The dwelling that was demolished. We can write that, right?
Yeah.
And the 48,008 square feet of the premises is proposed to be divided into 5 single-family house lots. 4 lots will have frontage on Walkway Highway, and 1 lot will be sited toward the south with street frontage on the newly created access way. Lot 1 will have 55.60 feet of street frontage. Lot 2 will have 12.20 feet of street frontage. Lot 3 will have 40.65 feet of street frontage. Lot 4 will have 27.54 feet of street frontage, all on Walkway Highway, including 95.67 feet of access for the new way. Lot 5 will have 54.53 feet of frontage at the southerly area of the new way, proposed name to be Bigelow Landing Road. The lots will share the maintenance for the private way. 13, Cape Cod berms are proposed to extend across the southerly driveway openings for lots 3 and 4 to protect the road surface from roll-off of gravel from the parking spaces in lieu of an apron. 14, bounds are proposed at all lot corners. Generally, bounds will be concrete other than instances where a lot corner is in a driveway or sidewalk, where the bound will be a spike or rod cap. 15, the building lots are proposed to range in size from 6,532 square feet to 8,593 square feet. The residential A zoning district requires 45,000 square feet of area for new lots. A waiver of this zoning bylaw provision as to lot area is requested. 16, the minimum front yard setback requirement of 35 feet from Walkway Highway pursuant to the zoning bylaw will be met for lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. The street setback requirement of 25 feet from the proposed roadway will be met for Lot 5. 17, the curb cut at Wacoit Highway will be subject to a MassDOT approval for the state road. Site distance is reported to be almost 400 feet in each direction. Any required clearing would be in MassDOT jurisdiction. 18, the town will provide curbside trash pickup at the street edge on the west side of the roadway. As currently laid out, the town will not provide snow and ice removal services due to the lack of turnaround area requirements of Section 305-24D3. This may be reconsidered in the future if there is a modification that meets DPW approval. 19, the proposal is to construct 2 3-bedroom homes with 2 bathrooms and 3 2-bedroom homes with 1.5 bathrooms, with a northerly 4 dwellings set back approximately 35 feet from Wacoit Highway. The homes will be solar and EV ready with visibility features on the first floor. The homes will be tiered affordable, ranging from 80% of the area median AMI up to 120% AMI to target workforce housing. The applicant estimated that one 80% AMI unit will sell at $235,000 for the 2-bedroom unit to be located on Lot 3 and $250,000 for the 80% AMI 3-bedroom unit to be located on Lot 1. The 100% AMI 2-bedroom unit will sell at $290,000 to be located on Lot 2. The 120% AMI 2-bedroom unit will sell at $340,000 to be located on Lot 4. And the 120% AMI 3-bedroom unit will sell at $390,000 to be located on Lot 5. Lots 1 and 5 will comprise 3-bedroom dwellings, and lots 2, 3, and 4 will comprise 2-bedroom dwellings. The proposal is for a total of 12 bedrooms. 20, the proposed habitable square footage for the 2-bedroom dwellings is 1,092 square feet and 1,551 square feet for the 3-bedroom dwellings. All units will have unfinished basements. 21, Lot 1 is proposed to comprise 7,966 square feet of area. Lot 2 is proposed to comprise 7,315 square feet of area. Lot 3 is proposed to comprise 6,798 square feet of area. Lot 4 is proposed to comprise 8,336 square feet of area. Lot 5 is proposed to comprise 7,937 square feet of area. 22, the lighting for the development is proposed to be porch lights on each of the dwellings, and at the front and rear of the dwellings, no project-based lighting was proposed. 23, dwellings are proposed to be heated and cooled by electric heat pumps. 24, dwellings are proposed to be under 25 feet in height, with the 2-bedroom units anticipated to be 2 stories and 23.75 feet in height, and the 3-bedroom units anticipated to be 2 stories and 24.5 feet. The bylaw permits height up to 35 feet. 25, as required in the bylaw, 2 parking spaces are shown on each lot. No guest parking was identified on the plan. 26, innovative advanced IA septic systems are proposed, and the Housing Trust anticipates an escrow fund for maintenance of the systems. 27, a common mailbox is proposed for the development. 28, 4 referral reviews were received from town engineering. The town did not require a peer engineer review for this development. Topics reviewed included subdivision regulations, definitive subdivision plan, layout site plan. 29, the planning board referral supported the architectural style and affordability of dwellings, but commented on orientation of the dwellings, landscape, and walkways. 30, the housing coordinator noted that 2 dwellings would be deed restricted at 80% AMI, eligible for inclusion in the town's subsidized housing inventory, SHI. 1 dwelling would be restricted at 100% AMI, and 2 dwellings would be restricted at 120% AMI, fulfilling a town need. 31, the Board of Health agent noted that the proposal is cited in a nitrogen-sensitive area, coastal pond overlay for Wacoit Bay. The Board of Health will need to review the proposed technology for the septic systems. 32, the Water Department required approval for service lines, including that Lot 5 have a 2-inch PE. Each dwelling will require an independent water service application with a meter installed in the dwelling and not in a crawl space. An easement will need to be drafted to allow the Water Department access to flush and operate the fire hydrant on private property. Upon completion of installation, the Water Department will require an as-built prior to completion of the project. 33, the Fire Department approved the number and location of the fire hydrant and travel path for fire apparatus. 34, The town manager authorized the waiver of permitting and development fees associated with construction of the development. 35, the applicant reported that the Housing Assistance Corporation has been identified as the lottery agent, that financing will be through the New England Fund, and that Mass Housing will be the monitoring agent. 36, future shed locations are identified on the site plan should homeowners choose to install in the future. 37, the lot coverage by structures and lot coverage by structures, paving, and parking is shown on the chart zoning requirements residence A dash quote-unquote RA district found in the plan, quote, layout site plan, end quote, sheet 1 of 9 prepared by Merrill Engineering dated September 4th, 2024, last revision date December 16th, 2024. Lot coverage by structures for all 5 lots is below the 20% as-of-right coverage by structures allowed per the zoning bylaw in residential A zoning district. The lot coverage by structures, parking, paving for all 5 lots is below the 40% total lot coverage limit for the zoning bylaw.
Just go right to conditions?
You want to vote those, or
No, we'll do it all in one.
Do it all at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
skip the decision part? Conditions, starting on page 10, G1. Where this comprehensive permit is made specifically under Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, Sections 20 to 23, allowing the override of local zoning density, there shall be no as-of-right changes made to the subject property. Any changes requested shall be properly submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals as provided for under Mass General Law, Chapter 40B and 760 CMR 56. G2, the construction shall be substantially as shown on the plans submitted and reviewed by the board as follows. Definitive subdivision plan, sheet 1 of 1, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of December 16th, 2024, prepared for Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., P.O. Box 465, Falmouth, Mass., as drawn by Merrill Engineering and Land Surveyors, 419 Wacoit Highway, Falmouth, Mass. Plan is stamped and signed by Deanna Bromitri, PLS. Drainage area, sheet 1 of 1, dated July 30th, 2024, with a final revision date of November 20th, 2024, prepared for Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., P.O. Box 465, Mass., as drawn by Merrill Engineering Land Surveyors, 419 Wacoit Highway, Falmouth, Mass. Plan is not stamped or signed. Fire truck turning template, sheet 1 of 1, dated September 8th, 2024, prepared by Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., P.O. Box 465, Falmouth, Mass., as drawn by Merrill Engineering and Land Surveyors, 419 Wacoit Highway, Falmouth, Massachusetts. Proposed driveway site distance exhibit, sheet 1 of 1, dated April 25th, 2024, prepared for Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., P.O. Box 465, Falmouth, Mass., as drawn by Merrill Engineering Land Surveyors, 419 Wacoit Highway, Falmouth, Massachusetts. Layout site plan, sheet 1 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date to December 16th, 2024. Existing conditions plan, sheet 2 of 9, date September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of November 20th, 2024. Proposed road plan and profile, sheet 3 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with final revision date December 16th, 2024. Grading, drainage, and utilities plan, sheet 4 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of December 16th, 2024. Septic systems and utilities plan, sheet 5 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of December 16th, 2024. Erosion control plan, sheet 6 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of November 20th, 2024. Construction details, sheet 7 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of November 20th, 2024. Construction details sheet 8 of 9, date September 4th, 2024. Construction details, sheet 9 of 9, dated September 4th, 2024, with a final revision date of November 4, 2024, prepared for Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., P.O. Box 465, Falmouth, Mass., as drawn by Merrill Engineering and Land Surveyors, 419 Wacoit Highway, Falmouth, Mass. Plans are stamped and signed by Deanna Bumitri, I apologize if I did not get her name right, PLS, and Timothy M. Santos, P.E. Got that one right, though. Elevations, sheet A1 of 7, dated March 7th, 2024, with a final revision date of October 16th, 2024. Foundation plan and floor plan, sheet A.2 of 7, dated March 7th, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16th, 2024. Building details, sheet A.3 of 7, dated March 7, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16th, 2024. Building detail, sheet A4 of 7, dated March 7, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16, 2024. Sheathing layout, sheet A5 of 7, dated March 7, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16, 2024. Framing plans and building section, sheet S.1 of 7, dated March 7, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16, 2024. Lighting layouts, sheet E.1 of 7, dated March 7, 2023, with a final revision date of October 16, 2024, parentheses, 3-bedroom house. And cover sheet, A0.0 perspective views, sheet A0.1 floor plans, sheet A1.1 exterior elevations, sheet A2.1 building section / details, sheet A3.1 foundation plan / floor framing plans, sheet S1.1 roof plan / roof framing plan, sheet S1.2 compliance plan, sheet S2.1 all plans are revised dated August 29, 2024, parentheses, 2-bedroom house, prepared for Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc., 419 Wacoit Highway, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, as drawn by Clancy Construction, 217 Clinton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. Plans are not stamped or signed. Proposed landscaping layout dated December 24, 2024, for Falmouth Housing Trust, 419 Wacoit Highway, East Falmouth, Mass., prepared by Clancy Construction, Incorporated, 217 Clinton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. G3, all stormwater from the premises shall be directed to recharge on the premises. The stormwater system shall be operated and maintained privately. G4, the access road proposed to be called Bigelow Landing Road is a private road. Where there are aspects that do not comply with town requirements, the town shall pick up trash, but shall not plow unless changes are made to comply with DPW requirements.
One thing, it should say town roadway requirements, maybe? Yeah?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
G5.
Well, the other
we
question,
read-
Madam Chairman, through you is not to change to comply with DPW requirements or add something or unless otherwise agreed to by the town. Little
Yeah.
wiggle room.
Yeah. Everybody's got that one?
Yeah.
G5?
Yep.
G5, parking or storage of any unregistered vehicle or boat on the premises is strictly prohibited. This shall be included in the homeowner's documents. G6, any deviation, no matter how minor, from plans submitted and approved shall be submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals for approval prior to implementation of said change. The zoning administrator may make a determination as to whether the changes are minor in nature and can be approved administratively, or whether they will require a public hearing for an amendment. Changes made prior to an approval shall be subject to a full hearing and are at risk that the Zoning Board of Appeals may deny the request, subjecting any unapproved construction to be ordered undone. G7, this comprehensive permit shall be a master permit, which shall subsume all local permits and approvals normally issued by local boards other than as specifically enumerated in a condition. The Board of Health and Conservation Commission are excluded from this provision. G8, this permit shall not take effect until a copy of the decision bearing the certification of the town clerk that 20 days has elapsed after the decision has been filed in the office of the town clerk, with no appeal being filed, is recorded in the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, or that an appeal has been filed within such time.
Sorry, I had one for G7, to interrupt. Do we have to include the state on G7? Don't they have to approve a driveway opening
Yes.
That comes in later.
later? Okay. Tell me when later, and we'll get in there. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Certainly. Continuing on G8, parentheses, any person exercising rights under a duly appealed comprehensive permit does so at the risk that a court may reverse the permit and that any construction performed under the permit may be ordered undone, end parentheses. G9, this permit shall lapse 3 years from the date on which the decision is filed in the town clerk's office if a substantial use of the comprehensive permit is not sooner commenced except for good cause as determined by the Zoning Board of Appeals. G10, this comprehensive permit shall not be transferred without express written approval of the Zoning Board of Appeals in accordance with 760 CMR 56. G11, each condition in this decision shall run with the land and shall, in accordance with its terms, be applicable and to be binding on the applicant and the applicant's successors and assigns. G12, the maximum height of the single-story dwelling shall not exceed 25 feet.
That needs to be amended too. It's not, they're not single-story dwellings, they're regular two-story, so.
Just write dwellings.
Just put the height of the, yeah, we'll just.
Yeah, just write dwellings.
The maximum height
Yeah.
of the dwellings shall not exceed 25 feet.
Yeah. That's good.
G13, construction hours shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday hours shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. No Sunday or town-observed holiday hours, absent an emergency. All construction vehicles shall remain strictly on the subject property and not park on abutting streets. Construction vehicles are prohibited from idling or near the premises outside of construction hours. During construction, efforts shall be undertaken to minimize impact on abutters, including securing dumpsters, stabilizing soil to guard against erosion from a rain event, and ensuring that public roadways are kept clean. G14. The development shall be limited to a maximum of 5 single-family dwellings with a maximum of 12 bedrooms. 2 of the units shall remain in perpetuity affordable to eligible purchasers whose annual income shall not exceed 80% of the area median income as determined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Those 2 affordable dwellings shall be eligible for inclusion in the town's subsidized housing inventory, SHI, maintained by the Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC. Additionally, 1 dwelling unit shall remain in perpetuity affordable to eligible purchasers whose annual income shall not exceed 100% of the area median income, and 2 dwelling units shall remain affordable in perpetuity to eligible purchasers whose annual income shall not exceed 120% of the area median income as determined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Basement space may not be used as bedroom space, nor may any studies, office, bonus rooms, or family rooms be converted to bedroom space. Any private non-bedroom rooms shall have a minimum of 4-foot wide cased opening. No space may be added or converted to add a bedroom to any unit. Any increase in the number of bedrooms is a violation of the zoning bylaws and this comprehensive permit. G15. The dwelling unit shall include an entry and first-floor bathroom with a minimum 32-inch doorway width to provide visitable access. The 3-bedroom homes include a first-floor bedroom. G16, there shall be no further deviation or subdivision of the premises or the creation of additional housing units or expansion of structures without further approval of the Zoning Board of Appeals in the form of an amendment to this decision.
I have another question. Do we have to put anything in here about rentals? No rental?
I think it comes in later on.
Does it come in there later? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember reading it when I read
Occupied
it.
as a principal residence, I
Okay.
think.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
G17, to the extent permitted by law, preference for the sale of 70% of the units shall be given to home buyers that are from Falmouth residents, employees of the town, employed within the town, or who have children attending town schools. The applicant shall work with the housing coordinator, communicate with the state, and shall provide the lottery information for the units. G18, the affordable year-round, not seasonal family ownership units, 2 of which shall be included in the subsidized housing inventory, shall be subject to a regulatory agreement, fair marketing, and income guidelines.
Oh, there it is, right there.
The units shall not be rented or sublet. Certification of compliance with affordable housing regulation shall be submitted after the sale to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Falmouth Housing Coordinator. This certification shall include documentation that each affordable ownership unit is occupied by a qualified owner as their primary residence. The affordable units shall remain affordable in perpetuity with a use restriction recorded to the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, copied to the Zoning Board of Appeals and Housing Coordinator, and shall survive sale, foreclosure, or bankruptcy. Any resale of an affordable unit shall be properly managed by an affordable housing specialist and reported in advance to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the town's housing coordinator, and shall include the fact that any future owner is subject to all terms and conditions listed herein and is provided in the homeowner documents. G19, drainage structures shall be constructed in accordance with the plans, and all roof areas shall be connected to the drainage structures. Homeowner shall be appraised of said installation. Maintenance and preservation of drainage structures shall be the responsibility of homeowners. There shall be no plantings or visual obstruction installed that would adversely impact the line of sight at Wacoit Highway. G20, the applicant is a nonprofit organization eligible to organize as a limited dividend organization and shall comply with all applicable mass housing requirements. G21, The subdivision plan shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. After recording, new parcel identifications will be assigned by the assessor. Following the new parcel assignments, addresses shall be assigned by town engineering. Applicants may inquire about draft addresses. This procedure shall precede the application for a building permit. Prior to site work.
I have a question. In reading the description of all of the plans in G2, you noted that some of them were not stamped or signed. Do we have to have a requirement that final stamped or signed plans be submitted, or is it okay to just leave it like that? How do we handle that?
So the Mass State law allows a designer to design single or two-family dwellings are not required to be produced by a registered architect. So they are not required to get those plans stamped.
But that's only for...
Mark just suggested the building commissioner will require it for a building permit. Is that true?
No, but if he has some requirement, structural or whatever else, he's
I thought
authorized.
they had to be stamped by an engineer and architect for structural issues.
If there's a need. But nonetheless, I would leave that up to the building commissioner.
Determined
That's
by the
not
building
something that the zoning board needs.
All right, I just want to know what that means, not stamped and signed, because it sounds a little squishy to me, but that's...
Well, nothing's going to,
You do periodically get plans submitted to you that are drawn by a registered architect, and registered architects stamp their plans because they're telling you that they drew those plans and that they're protected. If a designer produces plans, they typically note that they've authored them, but they're not stamped because typically
They
the
don't have the
designer doesn't
credentials.
have any certifications stamped.
Okay, all right, thank
they're not
you.
going to survive the inspection process anyway if they're substandard.
Okay, that's fine, go ahead.
Everybody's good? We're at S6?
S1.
S1, sorry.
Prior to site work, S1, the town has waived permitting and development fees associated with construction. Waterline plans shall be submitted according to specifications of the water superintendent. Each unit shall have a dedicated water service to department specifications. The applicant has stated that this is a private road. As such, water lines beyond the road shall be the responsibility of the homeowners. Any required utility easement shall be in a form and manner as prescribed by the town. Plans shall show the location of septic components and water service. All plans shall state, quote, "all standards, policies, construction practices, or rules and regulations of the Falmouth Water Department shall be adhered to throughout the duration of the project." S2, prior to starting work under the comprehensive permit, the applicant, the general contractor, and any necessary subcontractors shall hold a pre-construction meeting with the building commissioner, representative of the Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Zoning Administrator, Water Superintendent, Board of Health Agent, Falmouth Fire, and Falmouth Police to review soil erosion and sediment controls, inspection requirements and procedures, review of conditions, construction traffic management, general project schedule, building permit submission requirements, street opening permit requirements, NPDES construction, general permit requirements, work hours, and any other pertinent information. S3, the applicant shall meet with the Falmouth Police Department to determine when, if, police details would be required. All police details required by the Falmouth Police Department or per the applicant's own choice shall be paid for by the applicant or as determined by the town manager. S4, construction shall be in accordance with all requirements of town engineering, including the town's 2019 soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions, which document is affixed herein as Appendix A. All uncontaminated stormwater runoff shall be directed to recharge within the premises. No increase in stormwater runoff from the premises is allowed. Engineering sign-off is required prior to site disturbance and the issuance of any building permit for this project. Inspections referenced in the soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions or others as directed by town engineering shall be performed by town engineering. Erosion and sediment control shall be installed, inspected, and maintained in good condition at all times. Failure to maintain adequate erosion and sediment control on site will be grounds for stopping all construction activities until the issue is addressed. S5, engineering noted that work within the state's road layout would require permitting with the state. The applicant shall follow the state requirements and shall properly and timely complete the work as permitted. If the applicant intends to request the town to consider accepting the private road in the future, the applicant shall comply with the town's requirements related to construction and inspections. S6, the applicant shall have the surveyor stake the limit of work and certify that it is correct, where the proposed disturbance is just under an acre, which is the threshold that triggers the town's stormwater regulation and EPA construction general permit. S7, construction of the roadway shall follow Article 7 construction requirements of the town's subdivision regulations and details on the approved plans. The town's Department of Public Works Engineering Division will perform the required inspections outlined in Section 305-42. At no point shall the contractor construct on a road surface that was not inspected and approved. Copies of inspection reports shall be submitted to the Board of Engineering for their record. The applicant shall request inspections in writing to the Engineering Division a minimum of 24 hours in advance. The applicant shall retain an engineer or surveyor to provide an as-built plan and certification of the road and utilities as described in Section 305-42C for review by the Engineering Division before final approval of the project construction. S8, with a proposed site disturbance close to the 1 acre federal and town threshold, prior to site disturbance, the limit of all construction work should be delineated in the field and certified by a surveyor to be inspected by the Engineering Division. The limit of work shall remain in place until the end of construction. Any damage to the limit of work shall be immediately be repaired to avoid exceeding the 1 acre EPA construction general permit and town stormwater permit threshold. S9, the applicant shall provide to the Police, Building Department, Emergency and Zoning Board of Appeals the name and phone number and email address of a project contact individual for the duration of the construction process to ensure that any questions or concerns, including those of abutters and residents, are timely managed. S10, mature trees, particularly those proximate to lot line, shall be maintained to the extent possible. Trees straddling the property line shall be assumed to be jointly owned and cannot be damaged or removed without prior written approval of both parties. The limit of work line shall be installed and inspected prior to site disturbance and may include adjusting the limit of work to protect root systems of trees onto the premises.
Do you need a break?
No, I'm good. Talk for a living.
Well, too.
That's 11. The applicant shall conform to the proposed mailbox location, shall confirm, the proposed mailbox location with the U.S. Postal Service prior to building permit. Looks like we need to rename or renumber because B1 has been completely redlined. So it will be, these will all be appropriately renumbered. It's listed currently as B2. The fire hydrant shall be cited and approved by the fire department. B3, the developer shall comply with all water superintendent requirements regarding water lines and the hydrant as shown on the plan, on the site plan. Prior to the issuance of building permits, the applicant shall conduct a hydrant flow test to determine available flow and pressure to fight a fire and provide the results to the water superintendent and fire chief. The applicant shall provide an easement for the water main extension in a form approved by the town. The tap and sleeve assembly shall be inspected, including pressure testing, chlorinating, and sampling. The developer shall provide an as-built to the water superintendent upon completion. B4, the certified plot plan stamped by a licensed surveyor shall be provided to engineering and the building commissioner for review and approval prior to the application for a building permit. At a minimum, the plan shall show the following: lot dimensions, driveway limits of pavement, parking stall locations and dimensions, limits of sidewalk, building locations, dimension building footprint matching the architectural plan dimensions, closest distance to nearest property line from each building, locations of drainage structures, including limits of infiltration areas, hydrant location, stormwater pipe locations, and invert elevations, drainage structure rim and invert elevations, depth, width, and length of stone infiltration beds, including roof infiltration areas, fencing, side lighting, and limits of work, which shall also be demarcated in the field. This plan shall serve as the base for an as-built plan of the project upon completion. Prior to occupancy permit, the applicant shall install a town-approved street sign at the intersection of Bigelow Landing Road and Waquoit Highway. If required by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, a street light and stop sign shall be installed at the intersection of Bigelow Landing Road and Waquoit Highway. O2, engineering will assign addresses which shall be properly posted in compliance with Section 99.1, affixing of legible numbers required prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. 03, the final lottery agent, lottery plan, and marketing plan shall be submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Housing Coordinator prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. 03, landscaping shall be installed per plans submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any material substantially diseased or dead shall be removed and replaced with similar-sized plants within 2 years of the final certificate of occupancy. The landscaping shall not impede sight distance at Walkwhite Highway. 04, the final certificate of occupancy shall not be issued until all required site work, including landscaping, drainage, or other improvements and installation of monuments are completed. The developer may request that the ZBA consider a bond for the value of incomplete work to ensure that work is completed in accordance with plans. 05, any drainage to Walkwhite Highway during the construction process.
Damage.
What?
It's damage, not drainage.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Any damage to Walkwhite Highway during the construction process shall be repaired to state standards at the expense of the applicant. Thank you, Frank. 06, prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy, the applicant shall enter into a monitoring agreement to be reviewed by town council. All costs associated with the monitoring shall be borne by the applicant until the sale of the last affordable unit, and thereafter by the sellers of the affordable units. A copy of all financial information by the monitoring agent shall be provided to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Housing Coordinator after the initial round of sales. 07, all dwellings shall have the same exterior appearance and construction quality and be in conformance with the approved plans. The dwellings shall be solar and EV ready. 08, a certified as-built plan shall be provided to the ZBA and engineering for review for conformance to the approved plans prior to certificate of occupancy. The plan shall be an overlay on the plan described in condition number B40, B45?
B5.
It would be B3.
B3.
Now that we have renumbered.
The plan shall be an overlay on the plan described in condition B3. Any deviations from the approved plan shall be clearly shown in red line over the base plan, which should be faded back for clarity. The as-built shall be certified by both a licensed surveyor and registered engineer that work was performed in conformance with the approved plans and all permits. The building commissioner shall review and approve this plan and confirm that this plan includes the required information and certifications. No certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the as-built plan is approved. 09, dark sky compliant lighting shall be provided at dwelling doorways. Spotlights are prohibited. This shall be included in the homeowner's documents. 010, the applicant is required to provide 1, a regulatory agreement and declaration of restrictive covenants for ownership project. 2, an affordable housing deed rider specifying that affordable units shall remain affordable in perpetuity. And 3, a declaration of trust for the homeowners association if applicable. These collective documents shall be provided to the Zoning Board of Appeals for review by Town Council prior to the issuance of any occupancy permit and subsequently recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds. A recorded copy shall be filed with the Zoning Board of Appeals and the town's housing coordinator. The applicant, as a nonprofit corporation, is limited in profits under Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, and any excess profits shall be paid by the applicant and distributed as required by the subsidizing agency in accordance with applicable law, regulations, and guidelines.
I have a question. The affordable housing deed rider specifying that affordable units shall remain affordable in perpetuity. Did we add in there, and they shall survive bankruptcy and foreclosures and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Is that,
In a form, yes, in a form that will survive, absolutely.
okay, all right.
Should we continue?
Waivers.
Waivers. W1. Any waiver not specifically granted herein is denied. The proposal does not comply with certain provisions of the Falmouth Zoning Bylaw and subdivision regulation provisions. As provided for in Chapter 40B, the applicant has requested the following waivers from these provisions to which it does not comply. W2, the waiver from Section 240-11.2B, the requirement for a minimum lot width of 150 feet in the Residential A RA zoning district. W3, the waiver from Section 240-11.2B, the requirement for a minimum lot area of 45,000 square feet in the RA zoning district. W4, the waiver from Section 240-11.2B, the requirement for a minimum frontage of 100 feet. W5, the waiver from Section 240-14, landscape requirements. W6, the waiver from Chapter 305-30, 37, and 40, sidewalks, grass plots, and street trees. W7, the waiver from Chapter 305-34, streetlights. W8, the waiver from Chapter 305-38B, monuments. W9, the waiver from Chapter 305-24D3, T turnarounds. W10, the waiver from Chapter 305-36G, catch/leaching basins.
One note for Mr. Duffy, on page 13, G18 is where we reference
Okay.
that they'll survive
Fine, it's in there.
foreclosure bankruptcy.
All right, thank you very much. Are you ready for some motions, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? I move that the board approve the findings designated as presented, being paragraphs 1 through 37, with the amendments as presented at this hearing and agreed to by consensus of the board.
You want to vote on each section?
Yes.
I'll second. In each one?
That's the way we've done in the past. We go
Yeah,
through each section,
fine.
right?
Motion and a second on findings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? You going to keep going?
Yep, we'll keep going. I move that this board approve the general conditions as presented, designated G1 through G21, with the amendments as presented at this hearing and agreed to by consensus of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Second? I second mine. Yeah, I'll second it.
You made the motion. Jim seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
My voice droning on.
Opposed? None.
It's confusing as to who's
It
doing
is.
what here.
All right, we did G.
So now we're down to prior to site work. So I move that this board approve the conditions designated prior to site work and designated S1 through S11 with any amendments as presented at this hearing and agreed to by consensus of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? You're on a roll,
Now
Frank.
we're at conditions designated prior to building permit. I move that this board approve the conditions prior to building permit as presented and now numbered B1 through 3, with any amendments as presented at this hearing and agreed to by consensus of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Now we're at conditions designated prior to occupancy permit. I move that this board approve the conditions designated prior to occupancy permit as presented, with any condition, with any amendments presented to the board and agreed to by consensus, designated 01 through 010.
10.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Now we're at waivers. I move that this board approve the waivers as requested and as presented, and there are no changes
1 through 7.
through 7. W1 through...
Oh, 1 through 10.
10. Yep, 1.
Yes. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
We'll wrap it up.
Jim can wrap it.
I make a motion to approve, to grant a comprehensive permit with the aforementioned findings and conditions just voted on by the board for the construction of 5 home ownership dwellings, 3 of which shall be 2-bedroom units and 2 of which shall be 3-bedroom units, 1 two-bedroom unit and 1 three-bedroom unit shall be affordable in perpetuity to households whose income is not more than 80% of the area median income. 1 two-bedroom unit shall be affordable in perpetuity to households whose income is not more than 100% of the area median income. And 1 two-bedroom unit and 1 three-bedroom unit shall be affordable in perpetuity to households whose income is not more than 120% of the area median income as determined by HUD and the EOHLC at 419 Wacoit Highway, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, Assessors Map 30, Section 1, Parcel 004, Lot 000, collectively the premises, and subject to, as indicated, the following conditions and
Second.
findings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you, sir. Very good.
Everyone at home is applauding you. You just can't hear them.
I can hear them.
I just like to say, Madam Chairman, to the applicant, thank you for your patience with the board.
Thank you for your help, and hopefully this time next year, we will have people in those houses.
All right. So, minutes.
Next meeting.
Gotcha. Zoning administrator updates. Another fine job. I'll say that.
Thank you.
Under updates. That was really good. I mean, I had to like search for something, and I did. No, that was really a great job. Board discussion?
The narrator needs bigger print next time.
Luckily, you're still so young. Any other board discussion? Board updates? Future agenda items? Look at us, and our next meeting.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, our next meeting is February 13th at 6. Mark,
Motion to adjourn.
Frank,
Second.
and all those in favor? Aye.
At 7:30.